out in the bourbon world, you're.
Not be much to talk about on the football field these days here in Kansas City, but a lot going on off the field. And what to my wondering eyes should appear but a empty Arrowhead Stadium seat in the place of Noah Groniger, our co-host here on Arrowhead Allies. Milena, we don't have Noah here. There's an empty Arrowhead seat there. Don't know what to do with that. Is that symbolic?
Kind of looks familiar. It kind of looks familiar. It's familiar.
And it also yet looks so ominous because, we do have, okay.
Yes.
Well, maybe he's in Kansas where the new stadium is about to be, Noah Groniger. Maybe.
Yeah, sadly, it is going to be the last 5 years for Arrowhead Stadium, and then we were moving on across the state lines to Kansas. And we'll just kind of see what comes there, as it is going to be a dome stadium. Not my favorite. We'll get into all that and more with our next guest, right, Clint?
That is correct, Noah, and I'm glad you brought up our next guest because he is Pro Football Hall of Famer. He is our good friend, and what a jolly time to have Willie Roaf on. It's around the holidays. Willie, you just look like you're about ready to enjoy some holiday wonderment. How's everything going?
Good. I'm about to go see the movie Housemaid, so I'm out and about right now. I'm in Florida, so it's pretty warm outside.
Yeah, it's like 70 degrees here for Christmas, so it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be different kind of a holiday for us here. But Willie, welcome to the show, man. With things going on in Kansas City this year, the Chiefs are out of the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes is injured. What have you seen? And has there been just a shock to see what the Chiefs have done this year? They're 6-9 and no playoffs this year. This has been quite a strange year, has it not?
Yeah, it's been. A lot of people will go back to that Super Bowl game in New Orleans and say that's where the downturn started. But, it's probably Travis's last year, Kelsey. And, it was my 9th year when I tore my ACL. You compare his stats with Tom Brady. Tom Brady had 3 Super Bowl wins, just like Patrick right now. And, I got a fresh start when I came to Kansas City. So hopefully Patrick can come back off this knee injury and get back to that form. But, the team just, even without him and Minshew hurts his knee, not being able to run the ball consistently all year. Travis still being the leading receiver. Somebody's got to step up. And, if the defense carried them a lot last year and they weren't able to carry the load this year, so it all kind of caught up with them.
Man, thank you for joining the show, Willie Roaf. You are such a stalwart and one of the best left tackles I've ever seen in my life. And thank you for what you did for the Chiefs. With that being said, Esapole, Big 79 has came in and has filled in nicely for Josh Simmons at left tackle. I just need you to emphasize, because I often have arguments with the fellas about offensive line play and how crucial it is to your team winning. With the Chiefs tackle situation that's been going on for the past several years, can you just talk about the importance of those tackles in that offensive line and how much they equate to winning football?
Well, it all starts up front. If you want Patrick to be comfortable back there in the pocket, he's got to be able to trust that they're going to be able to get their job done. It's not only the tackles, it's across the line. And I'll tell you, we had some years, my last year in New Orleans, before I got to Kansas City, we lost our quarterback, we lost our running back. We had running back by committee. Mike McCarthy was the coordinator. Our offensive defensive line was able to carry that team to a playoff win. And when I was with Kansas City, we were so solid up front. I was looking at the stats We went when our defense was good. We went to Tennessee one year and we gave up 540 yards. Well, they scored 38 points. We bust the clock. We hit 50. We hit 49 on them because we were able to score points like that. So, and that
That
was
was
in
Monday Night Football 2004. I remember that.
2004. It was a down year for us, and it all starts up front. And the problem, guys, is the fundamentals of the game. These guys don't get to practice as much. They don't get to put the pads on. None of them come off. I don't see the explosiveness coming off the ball. All this spread. When I came in the league back in early, when me and Will came in, remember, linemen had a problem pass blocking. They can run block. So we worked on the explosive stuff. Then guys got better at pass blocking. We ran a pro set offense in college, so we were able to pass block and run block. Now these guys cannot run block as well. They don't bend their knees. I don't think they do the drills we did and focused on the fundamentals of the game of exploding your hips and stuff like we did. So it carries over with this RPO stuff, and these college quarterbacks are so versatile. The offensive linemen aren't asked to do as much, and it's hurting their development as players coming into the NFL.
Willie, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go off the field for a minute, but first, not without saying that you are such a legend still in Kansas City, and we just so appreciate everything you did for the team. So I just want to start off. You've gotten involved in the bourbon world. Your Canton Distillery straight bourbon whiskey is now available at royalbatch.com and even is hand-signed by you. How do you get involved in this project, or how did you get involved in this project, and what made you want to put your name behind it?
Oh, thank you for asking. They asked some Hall of Famers to do it. Me, Eric Allen in Philly, Randy White in Dallas, and we are going to be bringing it to Kansas City next year. Well, I don't know if it's going to be on hopefully the Kansas side, but the Missouri side. So I got involved this year. They asked me to do it. Thank you for bringing it up. Any fans looking for a holiday gift, they are autographed. You can go to royalbatch.com, put my name in there, and see the bourbon. So I'm glad I got involved with the guy. That tastes good. It's not too strong, but it is 100 proof. So sip it and put it on some ice. But I'm glad they got me involved in it. And it's been good. People really like it. And I get a lot of fan mail. I put little cards in the fan mail, and they tell me a lot of fans have been buying it as well. So I'm very happy with that.
That's great. Congratulations.
Now you tell me to sip it. I just drank, I think, maybe too much. So you can't hold me responsible for anything that happens the rest of the show, guys.
That's bad Santa here, Noah. Bad Santa.
That's right. Our good friend Billy Bob Thornton. But Willie, I got to ask you about the run game. Patrick Mahomes has never had a 1,000-yard rusher. I think the most is in 2023, 935 yards out of Pacheco. That kind of goes back to what you were saying about the offensive line and not being able to run block as well, bend their knees, be flexible in the hips, and really get off the ball and maul people. And obviously, Andy Reid isn't one to really kind of lean into the run game as well. So how do you think the Chiefs could be more successful in the run game, getting a premier back and maybe running from under center instead of the RPO game?
Well, Will used to have a thing over there where he worked with the linemen and where they really was working on the fundamentals. It was more for guys coming out of college he used to work with. But I didn't know that. And then you got Patrick, who's running back and quarterback a lot of the games. His knee was bothering him for a few weeks before he got hurt. So, I mean, they just got to get back to the fundamentals. You got to be able to establish a run. Kareem Hunt stepped in and done a good job. They've kind of used running back by committee because they had so many injuries this year. But I think we're going to be looking at some rebuilding. I mean, the left tackle, Josh, left for a little while. He hurt his hand. Taylor had never been hurt until this year. So you have the inconsistency when guys in and out the lineup. You have to be able to stay together, play together consistently for a while. And like I said, for that 2-year span, we didn't miss a game. And then John Tate left the next year. And the third year, us other four didn't miss a game. So it's guys playing together, guys being on the same page. And it's going to be some rebuilding. And they got to get back to the fundamentals. So I just think they got to get back to the fundamentals. These guys have to do more stuff in the offseason to work on their technique and work on explosiveness and coming off the ball. And I think the NFL and the Chiefs should make sure these guys are doing the things to get better every year, you got to care about what you're doing out there on the field.
Well said.
Willie, did we see enough from Josh Simmons this year? Obviously, he was dealing with a personal issue. He was gone from the team for several weeks. He broke his wrist, unfortunately, on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys and some friendly fire. Did you see enough out of him to feel comfortable that this is the Chiefs' left tackle of the future for the next 10 years, that this is a guy that could be a real star in this league?
I think he can. He's got good feet, good hands. You know, guys have to use their hands and punch as well. You know, you have to deliver blows and not grab. But, you know, I think he's a little light. I think he's a little small. You know, I'm about 6'5". You know, he's a little smaller tackle, kind of like Tyron Smith. So I think he needs to get in the weight room, get stronger, and work on his body and come back with a whole fresh start next year and come in with the mindset and with Trey and the rest of those guys and Creed, that they're going to set the tone every week, you know, and that was our whole motto. We went out there and Solari would press on us. You guys are the tone setters. Regardless of what's going on, you guys have to set the tone. You're the best in the league or one of the best groups in the league. You guys have to get out and set the tone every week. And that's how our mindset was going in each football game.
Back in those 2000s Chiefs, those teams were you on? It's kind of a two-part question because there's a lot of talk about Matt Nagy and what he offers to this team and his input. And I don't know. I don't know how much input Matt Nagy actually has in the game plan and the play calling, because we all know that Andy Reid is the one who calls the plays at the end of the day. But the questions I want to ask was, first, did Al Saunders call plays for the Chiefs back then? And how much was he involved in the game plan? And two, do you think that Matt Nagy is as involved with the Chiefs play calling as we think he might be?
I wouldn't think. I would think it would be more Andy Reid. I don't know. I'm not in a building, but no, Al Saunders did call the plays. Solari was the goal line and red zone guy. They kind of put in what we were going to do every week in that capacity. And I mean, we might have a year or a week where we were 3rd and 8. We were off a little bit, or we were. I mean, he was Al Saunders. We called him mad scientist. It would be little bitty stuff. He said, "This year we got to be better at this 2nd and 10 or 8." It was specific things that he wanted us to get better at every year. So we were. Al Saunders was on us. He did a great job calling the plays. You know, the good thing, I came in the league, it was more run-oriented, right? Then the West Coast offense came in the league in the 90s, started with the 49ers. Mm-hmm. And then the teams could run and pass. And then it went from the run off from that to the greatest show on turf in 99. And then now it's kind of gone to the spread stuff, and the RPO game is to makes up for the run. But the teams that are good still have to start up front. You still have to be able to run the ball, and you have to be consistent on both sides of the ball. And you can look at a team like the Titans and say they're 2-12, but they got some very talented football players on that team. And it was a perfect storm for the Chiefs to go up there and get some humble pie when they left that stadium.
Mm.
Just talking about that perfect storm yesterday, we saw Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith really getting after the rest of the offensive line after giving up a safety. But from an offensive lineman's perspective, can you talk about the leadership that was shown in that moment and why moments like that matter so much?
That's a great question, great point. It's a building process. I mean, you know, you don't want to get upset and that happened, but you got a lot of backups in. You got a lot of guys that haven't played. You know, to go from a Super Bowl team to this year not going to finish 500, because it goes like this. Either you're trying to make the playoffs. Then if you're not going to have a winning record, your team, well, we've had 16 games. It'd be like, well, you guys got to finish at least 500. You know, you want to have a respectable season. And, you know, I mean, the AFC's going to be – and it's only going to get tougher. With Buffalo, with Denver, with these teams coming, it's only going to get tougher. So, you know, I'm thankful for, you know, the years they put together and Travis coming back and trying. But it's going to be accountability on the whole. Everybody coming back, including the coaching staff, is going to be taking accountability for this season. And what can we do to make it better? Because I promise you, Patrick's not going to be coming back off of ACL and getting ready next year, these are going to be his peak years, and they're going to have to put the right players around him for him to be successful in the continuous career. And if it's not going the right way, I'm pretty sure he's going to be a lot more vocal when he comes back in the second half of his career.
Willie, the news broke today that the Chiefs are moving in 2031 to Kansas. They're going to build a dome over there. So we got 5 more years of Arrowhead here in Kansas City, Missouri. You playing in there and having played in the dome in New Orleans. Just kind of tell fans what they can expect from a dome atmosphere versus what they got at Arrowhead in Kansas City.
Arrowhead is Arrowhead. I mean, it's not going to be anything else like Arrowhead. So I just tell the fans to go out and appreciate every week, go out and embrace it for the next 5 years. That stadium, the history that they had, the AFL starting and everything that was happened, these last 5 years should be special. It's been special for these last 5 or 6 years, what the Chiefs have been able to do at Arrowhead. 9 years winning the AFC title and going to the Super Bowl 6 times. So, a dome stadium is just different. It's a different feel. It's a lot more. You're inside. You don't have the elements, so it's a lot like being indoors in a mall kind of. But it's going to be fun. But it's not. It's not the same feeling as being outside dealing with the elements. Everybody. That feeling of Arrowhead. So, like I said, it's going to be. All the names you see around the stadium, that's going to be different. They're going to have to put that in probably a certain area of the stadium. So, and a big question, after that 5-year period, will Patrick still want to play and will he open up that stadium? I would love to see him open up the new dome, and who knows what's going to happen over the next 5 years. So, but we all knew that this had a chance of coming, and depending on that tax situation, and Kansas got it done, and they got the deal done, and it's the ending of an era. But the weather's getting colder in Kansas City than it was when I played there. It always got cold in January, but that playoff game against Miami was real cold. I know they said the '95 game was a real cold one. So, teams, and then they want to host a Super Bowl. I think this is about that, and I think it's also about Kansas City wanting to host the Super Bowl, and they're never going to be able to do it at Arrowhead with that weather.
Brian, I see you shaking your head, so I'm going to go to you real quick.
I wanted to hop on that because he's right. There are so many factors, including a point that I think is very important to Clark Hunt. We talk about his father's legacy, Mr. Lamar Hunt, and what he was able to do. And what better pleasure would it have for Clark Hunt than to have the game that his father named at his brand new stadium? I just thought this was always in the works for the Chiefs. I thought the Patrick Mahomes, cash cow, Clark Hunt probably thinking, man, I'm probably never going to have another Patrick in my life again. So I need to cash in right now. And I think the Chiefs are on the Raiders, type of mystique back in the 70s and 80s when they thought, look, we are the Oakland Raiders. We can go to Tokyo and be the Raiders. We can go to the Netherlands and be the Raiders, and everybody's going to recognize the Raiders. And I just think that's where the Chiefs are right now, trying to take over the globe and trying to be the Globes team. I think this is a step in that direction. I just wanted to hop on that with Willie Roaf because he brought up some great points with that.
Yeah. Well said there, guys. I agree with a lot of this. We'll get into some more as we go on the rest of the show. But Willie, my question to you, and we've talked a little bit about before you retiring after the 2005 season, some of the injuries that you were going through at the time. And you were one of those guys that just, when game day came, you could be hobbled all week at practice. And people would always say, well, Willie, I don't know. He's on the injury report. We don't know. And then the game would come and you would be like a pro wrestler, like Big Van Vader, throwing people around like a jobber in the ring. And that just always stood out to me as just like an incredible, like almost superhero type figure that you were. But how close were you to coming back in 2006? Because Will Shields did come back in 2006. And if the Chiefs had hired, say, Al Saunders instead of Herm Edwards, would that have swayed you in any way to come back?
You know what? That's a good I hurt my hamstring in '05, and it was still bothering me. And you saw how Frank Ragnow tried to come back this year, late in the year. When I was running, my hamstring was still bothering me. I don't know how bad it was hurt because I heard it the first week. I missed 3 weeks, came back, and then I heard it again. So I might have had some effects from that. I don't know for sure. But Will came to see me in California during training camp in '06. And then but what's crazy, guys? He came to see me with his foot wrapped. So he came to see me in '06 with his foot wrapped. And I really did want to come back, but them changing all the coaching staff and that whole situation was a big part of it. Coach Vermeer retiring was a big part of it, and me not knowing if I was going to go out and be able to perform at the level I performed at. And thank goodness to Toradol, vitamin T. We got those Toradol shots every week, guys. So my last 4 years, I didn't do it early in my career. Really around 2000, I started getting them. But other than getting the massages and going to the chiropractor, getting massages twice a week, every year, I took very good care of my massage therapist, Sandy Miller. A lot of guys went to her and going to see Dr. T, Dr. M, getting the chiropractic care and taking care of my body. But after that last year, man, and I was like, my body kind of told me it's been enough. And then, ironically, a few years later, my back kept bothering me, and I had spinal stenosis, which I didn't understand, and I had to have a 5-level laminectomy on my back in 13 after I retired.
Wow.
Man, I remember my father used to talk about you specifically with some of your injuries that you had and how the stories that the guys just shared about you wobbling during the week and then becoming Superman when it comes to game day. Do you and you've experienced injuries before, but with Mahomes, like this is concerning to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I know we've seen players come back, specifically quarterbacks, come back from ACLs and be just fine. Just from an athlete's point of view in the National Football League where the competition is as highest and you got the best athletes in the world, how long do you think it will take for Patrick Mahomes to kind of trust his left leg going forward when he comes back?
Well, if it's an ACL and he didn't do any other, they said there's no other major ligaments. I had ACL meniscus. I had been tearing my meniscus because my knee was bothering me some. The same injury that John Browning had, he had surgery in October. I had surgery after Thanksgiving, and I was ahead of him when I got to Kansas City. I went to see Dr. Andrews. Y'all know about James Andrews at Health South in Alabama, and what he did was he was the best at the time. So when I got to Kansas City, I was ahead of schedule. So I don't think I didn't miss a game in '02. I don't think he'll miss a game. Will he be running as much as he was? I don't know if he'll want to do that quite as much. He'll probably wear some type of brace on his left leg when he comes back, especially that first year. But I don't see the ACL slowing him down a lot as a player. Like I said, he might not run as much as he did before. And I'll tell you guys though, even when I came in the league, when I got tired and lumbered around. Jim Moore thought I was hurt when they drafted me, and then I took off running, and he was like, "No, this guy's all right." So they always tricked me. They always thought I was injured or something was wrong with me because of the way I walked around. I walk around sideways and stuff when I got tired, but I always took off running. So I like running more than I like walking.
It's funny. I was on the field with you guys at the same time you were down on the field, and I appreciate, Clint, when you were talking about that superhero kind of stature. And I always looked at you guys in the tunnel, that 50-yard line tunnel, when I'd walk down onto the field, and I think I've never felt smaller. And you guys were always so nice, but always had that superhero kind of magical stature to me. And I always appreciated just how much everybody, even the fans, admired you guys so much. So that was always fun. But I have a quick big picture question for you. Do you think the Chiefs are at a point where they need a complete rebuild? Is this something that can realistically be turned around this offseason?
If Kelsey's retired, I thought about this too. You had Tony drafted in '97. He left in 2007 or 8. Kelsey comes in 13. So for the last almost 30 years, you've had two of the best tight ends in NFL history. they're going to have to draft. I mean, are you going to? I don't know if you draft another Hall of Fame tight end like those two guys, but it's going to be some guys stepping up. Some of these young guys have to step up and take accountability. The receiver core, like some of the linemen. Chris Jones is getting up there a little bit in age on the defense side of the ball. So McDuffie is on the contract year. So it's going to be some changes out there this year. Who do they bring back? The core guys, and it's always turnover in the NFL. Every year it's turnover. So it's getting the right pieces and putting the right guys in place. And Beach has done a great job at that. Can he continue to do it? And some of these young receivers have got to step up consistently. And that's the only thing I have with track guys. A lot of those receivers are track guys. So when it gets cold outside, we always had guys. Eddie was able to play well, but guys are always injured or not playing as good when it got cold outside. With those little track guy receivers, that's always an issue. You know, Tyreek was built different, but it's always been an issue with guys that are track guys that are real fast, that are small, playing receiver. When it gets later in the season, when you get dinged up, can they still have the production they had early in the season?
Mm.
Yeah, well said. And Willie, I don't know if you want to be an offensive line coach, if we can get you in there, but talking about the right tackle situation, we've got Jalen Moore, who we brought over from San Francisco. He's been the backup behind Juwan Taylor, and he's been kind of decent. He's been stable as a backup, but I don't know if he's going to be able to be a solidified starter at that right tackle position next year, especially with Patrick Mahomes already not really trusting the offensive line with so many guys in and out, and now coming off a knee injury. Do you think maybe the Chiefs spend a first or second round pick on an offensive tackle, or maybe dip into free agency again to try to find somebody? Because it seems like Mahomes, we really have to get him to trust that offensive line. I know Brian's been saying it. I've been against it. But Patrick Mahomes is telling us with his play that he needs to trust that offensive line to get him going and play his best.
I think they're probably going to draft a guy. I don't know if they got more. They haven't signed up another year. I don't think Taylor comes back at that number. You know what? He made a lot of money the last few years. So with the way he's played and the penalties and everything, I just don't see him coming back. So I think they're going to probably draft a guy, and then you have your left tackle in there, and you have Trey, and guys have to come in the offseason and really come in knowing that, you know, it's on them. They have to make Patrick comfortable. They have to do the job they brought in to do, and really spend a lot of time this offseason getting better and working on the fundamentals that they need to work on, talk to their coaches, and work on what they need to work on so they can come into camp and come in ready to go next year. Every year you have to come in and prove yourself. Every year you start over in the NFL. That's the business. So what you did last year, think about it. They won the Super Bowl. They won it a couple of years ago, and now look where we are 2 years later. So it's the NFL, man. It's a tough business, and you got to be ready to play every year.
Willie, we cannot thank you enough. You're out and about. You're heading to a movie tonight. The holidays are coming up. Christmas is this week in just a few days. So thank you so much for being a part of the show. We always love having you on, and want to make sure everybody can go. Yeah, right there. There's the website where you can go, royalmatch.com, where you can get the and I mean, I'm talking like just that bottle and that football with the signature. Like that's like an art piece. Like I think I might just set that in my Chiefs stuff and not even drink anything out of it.
Well, if you're going to drink, you get to keep the decanter. It's autographed, so you know, regardless either way.
It just looks cool with the brown in there. Willie, thank you so much. Always
having me,
man. You're the best. Have a great night.
You too. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody. Hopefully we have a better game against those Broncos this week.
We won't. Don't count on it.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, my friend. Enjoy the movie.
Yeah, that's going to be ugly on Christmas. We're going to have 2 out of 3 Christmas nights at Arrowhead just be complete bummers, you know, dating back to 2 years ago against the Raiders and now this. But buckle in, everyone. Thank you for joining us for that Willie Roaf interview. We love Willie. And I'm going to give you, in this next 30 minutes or so, my top 10 reasons why the Chiefs lost to the Titans. Buckle up and get comfy. Here we go. Okay, yeah, we're not breaking anything down about the Chiefs loss to the Titans. We're kind of wrapping things up the way we want to do it. We're looking forward. A lot going on at the very end of the show because we have former Chiefs punter Louie Aguiar coming on right now. We're going to get into all the stuff about the Chiefs move. I think Brian summed up a lot of our thoughts right there earlier. We're going to get into a little bit of that at the end, but currently we do have Louie Aguiar, former Chiefs punter, maybe coming in. Do we have a technical difficulty, producer Noah?
Oh, he's here, baby.
This is our concert buddy, our concert pal from Foreigner, from Loverboy. It is Louie Aguiar in the house. He's got no concerts to go to tonight, so he said he could join us here tonight. That's great, Louie.
It's good to be here. Good to be wanted still. I mean, I'm looking at this and I see 5 wonderful faces. Well, 4 than mine.
Yeah.
How you doing, Milena?
How are you? Good to see you. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that other good stuff.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the other kind of words.
Well, we're getting there, Louie. This is kind of the whole point. This is a kind of a Black Christmas, if you remember the 1973 horror slasher. And that's kind of what we have here. We have no playoffs. You are playing for draft position. Who would have ever thought this possible? Coming into the season, coming off of a 15-2 Super Bowl appearance, now no playoffs. And Louie, what has happened here? What does this season kind of have you seen from it?
Well, it's kind of hard when you have your 5th and 6th string tackle in there. I mean, the offensive line Patrick has had in the past has been very good, and it's given him time, and he's been running around trying to make plays this year, and he can only do so much. He's only one player. Everybody talks about Chiefs and Mahomes. Well, he's not the other 22 guys on the field during the game.
Mm.
Yeah, and Louie, obviously the news broke today. 5 more years of Arrowhead, then they're moving into a dome into Kansas. You having played in Arrowhead, you throwing a beautiful pass in the King Dome. What can you tell us that the difference is going to be with the great outdoor environment and atmosphere of Arrowhead versus a smaller dome in Kansas?
Well, I heard that they're doing a dome, but is it going to be a retractable dome like they have at other stadiums, or is it going to be a complete dome all the time? I don't know that.
Yeah, I think we're waiting to see.
We have to wait and see what happens. You know, I know a lot of people are in shock and awe right now. When I heard about it, I'm all, well, you know, when you grow up, you have a friend next door. Their parents get a little bit more money. They live around the corner. They buy a new house. Do you stop being friends with them? No. And that's why I look at Arrowhead. I love Arrowhead. I've been going to Arrowhead since 1994. I'm going to miss it, but it's time to move on. You know, the stadium's old. Do I want them to hold the stadium, still the stadium there where it's at? Yes, I would have loved to have that. But it's not going to happen with everything that's been going on from what I've been reading. You know, through the internet and everything. You know, Johnson County had a chance. They shot it down. And so Kansas City is not losing the Chiefs. It's just your friend's going right around the corner. That's all he's doing. That's the way I'm going to look at it. Because I'm still going to go. I'm still going to support them. They're still my team.
That's well said. I like that perspective, Louie.
You're welcome.
Side note, I don't know if I'm the only one having audio issues, but I can't really hear Louie all the way. But I'll ask this question. It's a simple one. It's a battle of the mustaches. Who had the better mustache, you or Nick Lowry?
Wow.
Oh, shoot.
Both legendary.
They're both pretty Dirk Diggler.
I loved it. I mean, yours is. I'm sorry. I got to go with Louie. I'll throw my.
Mine looked pretty good. Mine wasn't as 60-ish stash as his was. So I think mine looked a little better.
Yeah.
First of all, how are your children doing? Everybody doing well?
Oh my gosh. I'm a grandfather.
Oh, congratulations. I didn't know.
I'm too young. I'm 59.
We're 25, Lou. Let's just get it. Let's just call it what it is.
My oldest son is 27, and he's married and has a real good job up in Idaho. Him and his wife made me a grandfather this summer. June 25th, she was born. Her name is Miller Marie Aguiar, and they go by Millie.
So sweet.
And that's my oldest. And then my daughter is 20. She'll be 22 in February, and she'll be graduating from College of the Ozarks down in Branson, December of next year, a year from now. And my youngest son is 17, turning 18 in January. And he is a phenomenal trap shooter. Last summer, he was down at the Grand. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Grand. It's a big trap shoot down in Sparta, Illinois. And they have people that come from all over the world for this. And one day, out of 1,048 participants in handicap, he won it all. And he beat people from Europe. He beat everybody. But I'm proud of that. But I'm most proud that he's enlisted into the Coast Guard, and he wants to be a rescue swimmer because he's a very talented swimmer also. And he swims on a high-class team called FAST, F-A-S-T, Flyers Aquatic Swim Team or something like that, across the river, because he's not that much Mexican like me, so I don't swim very well. He swims great. But no, he wants to be a rescue swimmer, and I watched the movie The Guardian, and that's going to take a lot of heart to get there, and he really does. So I'm looking forward to him doing that when he graduates high school this summer. He's already enlisted. He'll be going to boot camp. I said training camp, boot camp, in August or September. So all my kids they're doing wonderful. Thank you for asking.
So much to be proud of, and I know they're good kids too. I have not seen them or I haven't heard an update in a while, and I know they're wonderful kids. So congratulations.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So special teams have really been a disaster for the Chiefs all season. From your perspective as a former punter, did this be the end of the road for our special teams coordinator, Dave?
Andy doesn't let go of his people very often. And it's good and bad. But, their punting situation arises a darn good punter. I enjoy watching him punt. He's good. Harrison struggled. He's been struggling. And they need to be able to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. From what I've noticed over the years, when he was kicking really well, he never fell down to his left knee. When he injured his ankle, was that 3 years ago? 4 years ago? 3 years ago, he injured his ankle, and he couldn't stay up. So he started going down to his knee when he place kicks. And then he injured his knee last year, and he had the meniscus problem, and he had to have surgery on that. He needs to get back to what got him there and go back to his technique to be a better kicker. And Dave should know that. He's been around him a long time. Will they say goodbye to Dave? No. Should they? They might need – one thing I talked to Mike Webster when Webby was alive. He goes, a lot of coaches, after about 10 years, get stale, then you got to move on. And I see that with some of the coaches with this organization. They've been there a while. It's time to move on and get some new blood in there and get some new ideas.
Sounds like a big rebuild this year.
Yeah.
Across everything.
I've got an idea, Louie, and you're someone that's coached special teams. You've been a coach, and you understand all the positions when it comes to special teams, when it comes to kicking, punting, long snapping. And so my question to you is, with football being kind of at its all-time height, I mean, NFL keeps growing, it's growing globally, that why aren't more kids growing up specializing and just like working on punting, kicking, and long snapping, as that being a way to really, come out to the forefront, exert themselves on their high school team, and they have a better shot at college scholarships. Specializing in those positions could be key. And yet, no kids are really doing this, going out there and learning coffin corners, learning how to place kick, learning how to long snap, and just getting the reps in. Why isn't that happening more? Because I feel like that would be like a really good track for someone that wants to play football and wants to learn a real skill.
Yeah, I see your point there. But when you see quarterbacks making 55 million, 60 million, then you see the punters making, the top place kicker, Buckner's making 7. So they want to go and make the money, and top receivers are making 30 million, 40 million. They're making a lot of money. I wanted to play quarterback coming out of high school, but I knew my forte was not quarterback. I could throw the ball a long ways, but I could always hit the receiver. So I knew kicking. I kicked in high school. I fell back on that, and that's what I worked on very hard. And when I used to do my camps, you all know that, you've been there. I had a lot of people there that wanted to do punters and kickers. But one thing I see in the NFL, there's only one true kicking coach in the NFL now, and that's Randy Brown in Baltimore. And what do they have? They had Tucker. Now they got this new kid. I don't know his name.
Tyler Luke.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing a really good job for him. That's one thing. I talked to the Jets when they brought me in to work with their guys. They're all, what do you think we're lacking? I said, you're lacking a coach who's played the position, punter. I also kicked off. I kicked field goals. I held. Never long snapped. But I could help those guys. And that's how I got my job there with the Jets with Rex Ryan. And a lot of teams don't want to do that. They say, well, we can coach them. You're a special teams coach. You're not a kicking coach. Do you have a quarterback coach for Mahomes? Yeah. Do you have one for Montana? Yeah. Do you have one for Brett Favre? Yeah. Why don't they bring one in for punters and kickers to keep them dialed in? Because when I was with the Jets the year before I got there, they struggled a little bit with Steve Weatherford and Falk. I come in the next year. We have a rookie punter who nets 39.9, and Falk goes from an 82% kicker to a 92% kicker. So you need somebody there to be on them every day, to talk to them about their techniques, who's done it and can see it. When during the games, I could see what they're doing wrong. They'd come over and talk to me. And when I was playing, our coaches didn't know anything. I'd have to go to our kicker. I'd ask him, I'd ask Doyle, where's my ball? Was it low? Was it flat? And so I gave him a couple of things to look at, and that's what helped me out. And when I was holding, I got good enough where I could see his plant foot, and I say, your ball's a little right. He goes, how do you know that? I said, your plant foot's deep. You're deep about 1 inch, because I can see where his plant foot should be. So I helped him out on the place kicking side just by that. So would I love to get back into coaching the NFL? I'd love to, as a specialist coach, yes. But will it happen? No, because Rex Ryan saw what they did down in Baltimore, because he was coaching in Baltimore. So he saw that they had Randy there. So Randy's a dear friend of mine. So that's why he brought me in up there. Did I answer your question, or I talking?
Yeah.
Yes, certainly.
I see coaches often complain about roster spots and trying to juggle the roster. Who do you sit down this week? Blah 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 blah. Who do you deactivate this week? And I'm just wondering, will there ever be a kicker and punter who does the same thing? And I know there are specific skill sets with punting as opposed to kicking field goals or kicking off. Two completely different skill sets. But do you ever think that there is going to be the one special kicker who can actually do both and be productive with that?
No, not at all. Like you said, it's two different swings, you're using different leg muscles. I'm trying to think of about 10 years ago, a team tried to do that to save a roster spot, to have one kid do both. And he struggled at it. And what happens if you're in a game and that one kid who you have punting and kicking field goals gets injured? Now you don't have anybody. So I don't think they'll ever see it because it's too specialized nowadays. When I was playing against Denver, Jason Elam pulled his groin in warm-ups. They had Tommy Ruin kick off. And he doesn't kick off. He's just been a punter. He goes to opening kickoff, pulls his groin. So now they lost both guys. And that's one thing, when the Chiefs had Reed, that was phenomenal. Buckner gets hurt, you stick him in, he plays kicks, he kicks off. You got to find a backup. When I was coaching in New York, that's one thing we did. When the first thing I got there, I said, we need to find a backup to a long snapper, to our starting long snapper, to our kicker and our punter, and to the holder, because you never know what's going to happen. When I was in KC, Stoyle got injured his back, and so luckily I always had Rich come over and hold for me, once every couple of weeks. So just in case if something happened, we would always have backup, and we would both feel comfortable because I had Joe Valerio and Danny Villa, both were long snappers, short snappers, and they were always on the roster. So Danny was the short snapper. Valerio was a long snapper. So if one of them got injured, we could cover each position.
Louie, you kind of talked about a little earlier, talked about how Andy Reid doesn't really fire coaches. A lot of people had problems with the play calling this year. They said it got stale. Maybe some guys have been here too long. So what changes do you think they can make? Obviously, in 2018, it got so bad that Andy finally had to fire Bob Sutton and bring in Spags. Do you think maybe this year, because it's so bad, that'll force him, where he's normally loyal, to look at himself in the mirror and maybe have to make changes, like maybe get rid of a Matt Nagy, maybe a Dave Tobe, and maybe try to do something else, because they've been running a lot of RPOs as well, and they've had success running under center, but then they don't throw from under center, so everyone knows the run's coming. And there's just a lot of stuff that people have noticed. The receivers can't get open versus man, that they need a new offensive coordinator, new eyes on this offense to kind of rejuvenate it. It's
always good to have, change, in life, in your job. And Nagy, from what I hear, I don't know if it's true or not, who knows about the internet being truthful and all that, but Nagy is the Tennessee head job.
Right.
So that might be the easy out for Andy to help him get that head job. So that way he doesn't have to fire him, but he can help him get the head job, and then he can bring somebody else back, bring somebody else in as the offense coordinator, or do something like that. There's a lot of camaraderie in the coaching carousel that Andy is very well looked up to, and I know he could help him get him the head job.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really crazy to see kind of where things go. This is a kind of new territory for all of us. We're trying to kind of look to the future while also reflecting on what this dynasty has been and what this franchise has meant to us over these last 8 years, Louie. And thank you so much for stopping in and sharing some time with us here. Definitely want to wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all the things. You're always welcome here. We love having you, and can't thank you enough for your perspective today, my friend.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. You left out one of the words for holidays. Feliz Navidad for us Mexicans.
Oh, yeah, Feliz Navidad to you.
Feliz Navidad.
Absolutely. You betcha, sir. Well, I'm sure it won't be too long. I'm sure we'll see you at a concert sometime this summer. It'll probably be Styx or Foreigner or any number of classic rock bands that we go see all summer long. But we'll probably see you, Louie. Don't forget it. We got to meet up. We'll do it.
Anytime. Well, back when Eddie Money was around, I was able to go to his concerts.
I love.
I'm good friends. I was good friends with Eddie. I'm good friends with Mike Reno from Loverboy. So that's how I got to see you guys then, was because of Mike Reno from Loverboy. So
that was awesome.
Yeah, I'm all, hey, well, I know you guys.
You were just sitting right behind us. It was the craziest thing. Well, Louie, thank you so much again. Talk soon. And
thanks for having me. You guys all have a great night. If you ever need anything, I'm here for you, and I'm looking forward to. Can't Christmas Eve game, but you know, even though the season's going is dwindling down, you can never count them out.
That's right. That's right, Louie. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Always an honor, my friend. Feliz Navidad.
I
There
didn't
it
know
is.
he was Hispanic. I thought Louie Aguiar was I thought he was Italian.
Italian.
I always thought he was Italian growing
I
up.
did know that he was Hispanic. But
Italian look under the Jerry curl and the mustache. And
Yeah, and his name is Louie.
that's true. We
go to that first.
one of those great alums, and I think Milena, he was still there. Obviously, Louie was there. I didn't know that you knew Louie very well from his time and your time.
Well, he had married a friend of mine, a former Miss Missouri USA, Terry, who's a wonderful person too. So, and they had beautiful kids together, and it's kind of a small world, and so I know his ex-wife better than I knew him, but such a sweet family.
All those Miss Missouri USAs, they got to find their way to someone. Unfortunately, not for us, but that's okay. That's okay. It's Christmas season. We're just grateful and happy for the things that the good Lord has bestowed upon us, both personally, professionally, and with the Kansas City Chiefs organization. And, we're just trying to navigate these new waters. So I guess, as we bid adieu here, I just kind of want to go around, and Milena, I just kind of want to start with you. And I want to get everyone's take. We Brian had some really good perspective, but I want to kind of go around and just have everyone say one thing about this move to Kansas. We got 5 years of Arrowhead, and just kind of what Arrowhead means to you and your willingness for this change to happen. Milena, start with you here.
I feel so blessed to have been a part of Arrowhead. I feel like Arrowhead kind of built my career. I started off there, and I faced all of my greatest fears as a host. Just speaking live in front of 79,000 people was scary when they said, we want you to go out in the middle of the 50-yard line and welcome everybody to the stadium. And then they asked me to interview the fans out in the tailgates. And I feel like that's how my career started. It's what built my reel. And I am so Arrowhead will forever be a part of who I am, and I love the environment there. I think that the fans, the Arrowhead fans, there's nothing like a game at Arrowhead Stadium. And I said that at the beginning of the podcast here in the beginning of the year. There's an energy that only Arrowhead has. You could go to any Super Bowl. It will never be the same as Arrowhead Stadium. And I only hope that the fans take that to the new dome. And I think that they will. I don't know what's going to happen, because if you've ever tailgated in those parking lots, which I've interviewed a lot of those people, there are people who they have claimed lot M. They have claimed lot O. They get there at 6 a.m. They're drunk by 8, but they will find their spot. And that is like their home. I don't know how that's going to work. Like if there's going to be a lottery, like we claim this section of the parking lot and that's our place. So that's going to be interesting for the fans. I do think that we're ready for some fresh energy. I'm going to welcome that. I really like what you said, Brian, about Clark being able to bring the Super Bowl, the game that his dad sort of like birthed out of his brilliant mind. And I'm excited for the fans to get and to experience the dome. If you've ever been to a dome game and sort of the new technology that will hit Kansas City, Noah's like, no, I'm scared to lose that nostalgia from Arrowhead Stadium, not just selfishly for myself, but I think the fans are really going to have to embrace a new environment and embrace a new game day here in Kansas City.
Brian, you want to take it?
Sure.
Sorry.
I have a lot. Because I got so many thoughts about the stadium situation. I'm born and raised here, and really in Village Green, where I was raised at for most of my life as a child. That's literally like 10 minutes away from Arrowhead. Mm-hmm. And where my grandmother lived was like 7 minutes from Arrowhead. So the games, the memories, all of that, y'all look. It's just going to have to stay in the past. This is where the NFL is going. Yeah. Somebody made a tweet about Oh, damn. Well, we know that dome teams, they suck in the playoffs. Yeah, but the NFL is about to be 90% domes in a second. It really is, y'all, if you take a look at it. So I think the way that we thought about football in the past, we gotta change that because it's switching up as the game is evolving itself as well as its facilities. And I just think that this is along with the Chiefs just staying up to date in the NFL. Look, man, I saw this coming a mile away. When Patrick Mahomes, when first off, when he signed that $500 million contract, I already knew that the money train was coming. And that Clark Hunt knew that this cash cow of Patrick Mahomes was eventually going to end a little bit. And when he's seeing that light at the end of the tunnel, to where, damn, I don't know what I'm gonna do after Patrick Mahomes right now. I might as well cash in while I have him. Look, y'all, this is a unique time in this franchise's history and where we are. This is the best part of the Chiefs' history of being a fan, and in terms of success, in terms of money making, in terms of global visibility. You got to take all of this into account. And hell, if I'm Clark Hunt, I'm taking the best deal on the table too. Why not? I'm cashing in on that Patrick Mahomes paycheck, and damn it, we're gonna have the newest facility in the NFL with hopefully he'll be back to his self by then with the biggest and best star in the NFL. And yes, I'm gonna cash in and create a new Chiefs kingdom. It is what it is. I'm just a man that embraces something that you can't change and something that's new. I feel like people are just gonna drive themselves crazy with just trying to hold on to Arrowhead and hold on to all the memories that we have, all the playoff games that we have there. It's a new day, y'all. It is what it is. You should have saw this coming a mile away. Whenever first off, the NFL is getting global money now, and what's better than a little bit of money? Getting some new money. And you already know how Clark Hunt operates. And we've held on to Arrowhead. It'll be at that time. It'll be what, more than 50 years, almost 60 years at that time. It's time for something new in Kansas City. I hate for it to leave Missouri. That's a whole. I could be on here for 30 more hours talking about that with the leadership in Kansas City and the failure that Frank White was with leading this thing. That's a whole other conversation for another day. I just want to say, KC Mo residents, you got to embrace this thing because Kansas City is bigger than just KC Mo. Kansas City is Grandview. Kansas City is Lee Summit. Kansas City's North Kansas City. It's Overland Park. It's Olathe. And this is my last point before I stop because I know I've been jibber jabbering. This is my last point. For people who's holding on to this Missouri versus Kansas thing, it's bullshit. You want to know why? Because when people come from out of town, they don't know the difference. They don't know the difference at all. And trust me, I'm really talking to myself a little bit because I was like that probably about 8 to 10 years ago. Like, I don't want to go to Kansas. I don't want to be associated with Kansas. Hello, when I'm telling you, this is why celebrities get booed when they come here and when they say, "Oh, what's up, Kansas?" They do it all the time. Every artist does this. But now it's because they don't know the difference between, they don't know if Overland Park is KC Mo. They don't know if Grandview is KC Mo. We're all KC Mo, y'all. It's one Kansas City, and the better off we'll be better off the more that we accept that as being one Kansas City with all of the parts and our 2 million plus residents.
Thank you, Brian. And can I just add, when I was interviewing all those fans, we get a lot of people from Nebraska. We get those Nebraska football fans down here. Everybody is Kansas City when they get to cheering on the Chiefs. If you go to a game, it's just all Kansas City. It doesn't matter at that point.
And Brian, I just have one quick thing for you. Do you think this was orchestrated by Clark Hunt, the lackluster renovation deal?
Yes!
Thinking maybe. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up because if you go back, y'all, there was an iPhone update to Arrowhead. The renovations they put out. What was that, 2 years ago almost? When they were trying, and I'm glad you brought that up because if you notice at the very tail end, like it was like a week before the election in April of 24. All of a sudden now we hear Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes trying to get the players and trying to get them involved in this campaign. I just think that Clark Hunt saw this from the start. I don't think he ever wanted to stay in Missouri. I don't think he wanted to renovate Arrowhead again because we had renovated in 09. So I think from the start, Noah, I think you nailed it. He wanted to go to Kansas and get this brand new dome from the start.
Yeah, exactly. And just real quick, I'm not on like Missouri versus Kansas. I didn't, like I've told Clint before, I don't care if the stadium was on the moon. I just wanted it to stay Arrowhead. I'm going to miss Arrowhead. I'm going to miss the outside environment, experience, atmosphere, tradition, history of Arrowhead. I don't like domes. I don't want to be in a dome. It's a sterile atmosphere. I think it's less than. I don't like watching it on TV. I don't like the aesthetics of it. So I'm just not into this domes. But like Brian has said, Clint's told me before, that's the way of the NFL. That's the way this is moving. Pretty much almost everything's going to be a dome. So
Yeah.
bummer for me.
Yeah, no, Brian, what you said, I couldn't agree more. I don't have a whole lot to add because 10 years ago, if you would have said, hey, the Chiefs are going to move to Kansas, I would have fought it. It would have caused literal mental gymnastics that I could not have gotten around. It would have cost me sleep at night thinking about that. I've grown up a Mizzou guy, cover the Missouri Tigers to this day. I'm leaving on Christmas Day to go cover the damn Gator Bowl as Missouri takes on Virginia in a meaningless game. Okay, but Brian, I can't add enough. You had Mayor Quentin Lucas on your show today here on Hot 103 Jams this morning, and I don't really have any bad things to say about the leadership of Missouri. I know you could expand more on that, and you probably do, but I just see that this was coming down the pike, and it's just something that you either got to fight the change or embrace it. We know the Chiefs are here. I like that Legends area. The area in Jackson County around that stadium did not develop. It had 50 years to do so. It never was. Now, are we going to miss the God, I hate to say this. This is going to sound kind of mean, but are we going to miss kind of the neck tattooed Raytown and Independence guys at the stadium and the cheap seats? A little bit, yes. That atmosphere will suffer a bit because a 64,000 seat stadium and with personal seat licenses, that's going to be a little bit of a different crowd, Brian.
Yeah. Before we go, this needs to be said. It's not going to be the same stadium and same atmosphere, y'all.
Right.
It's going to be way more corporate. And a lot of people are frowning on that. A lot of people, I don't know, it's not. What's the difference? The personal seat licenses, y'all. There are mortgages. There are car notes, y'all. It's not just your regular season tickets that you can pay $3,000-$4,000 for. No, these are $40,000-$50,000 seats that you have to invest in because they want you to help pay for the stadium. That's really how they're going to sell this thing, and it's going to price. I'm telling y'all. Unless the Chiefs are where they are now and the late season tickets are on sale how they are now, y'all, I don't think people are going to I don't think they're taking serious enough the type of atmosphere. It's going to be wine and cheese. It's no more. It ain't going to be no more of the Arrowhead that we see now, where you can bring cardboard boxes in and blankets and stuff. No, it's going to be totally different.
It's going to be like SoFi in Southern California.
Exactly. Yeah. And
they probably need that because they're talking about like the entertainment around the stadium. There's nothing around Arrowhead. Now there's going to be stuff. And I'm like, you're going to the game, you're tailgating, you're at a game the whole time. I'm not wanting to go to Dave & Buster's after the game. I want to go home and relax.
There are a lot of people that want to, though, Noah.
If they're drinking all day at the tailgate and then in the game, then they come out and they want to go to Dave & Buster's, and you have innocent parents that were not part of the Chiefs game. Just we're out here with Timmy and we're trying to enjoy Dave & Buster's. I got a drunk fan. Timmy, run! They're coming.
Oh my God. That's just some little food for thought, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. This has been wonderful. All the comments and for Willie Roaf, Louie Aguiar, and I just want to wish Milena and Brian, you guys, a very happy holiday season. Can't tell you what you guys mean to us personally, because last year at this time, I wasn't really having a very Merry Christmas. I really wasn't wanting to be here talking the way we are now, let's just say. But my heart is warm and full thanks to you two, and that's all year long. And that's all the worst season we've had since 2012 up in this biatch. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor to sit amongst the three of you and your genius. I am not a technical football discussion panelist, but I have loved and I have learned so much from the three of you. So thank you for letting me be a part of your little family here.
Warm and fuzzies for Christmas, guys. I love that.
That was Christmas gift enough for me to hear you saying biatch. That's my Christmas gift. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Come out even like in remotely like I wanted it to, because like I was like, my mom might be listening. I got to alter it, but yeah, we did what we did. We do it. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Steve Ledbetter, Vincent DiCarlo, John Harrison, everyone who's been in here tonight, Jeffrey Lyon, Elena, Richard, G. Pick. Appreciate each and every one of you for commenting and enjoying the show. And like Clint said, our guest, Willie Roaf, and the great Louie Aguiar, the tackling punter he put on his name. So we want to wish you all a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, stay safe, stay blessed, and until next time, go Chiefs!